Alright, so for those of you who do not know, I'm actually a big fan of the DC Vertigo line, specifically because it targets a lot of different stories that are either standalone, outside of the main DC continuity, or they deal with much darker, more adult stories. And you all know about Transmetropolitan, which I will leave a link to in the comment section down below, but I'm here to talk about another DC character that I've just recently gotten into. And my God, some of the times he has given me an absolute headache, but at the same time, his stories have been absolutely well done. Like Neil Gaiman, the creator of this character, does so well with storytelling. For those of you who want more of him, check out his book American Gods, or even the comic done by Dark Horse Comics. Anyways, but today, I'm here to talk about Neil Gaiman's Sandman series. So to start off with, I have not read his main series as of yet, but I have read a lot of his more like mini-series collected pieces of the Sandman universe, specifically Sandman Overture, Sandman Dream Hunters, and Sandman Endless Nights, all of which were under the Vertigo title, which was good for me. But anyways, the first one I read, Sandman Overture, I will say this right now. I think I might have given myself a headache the first time because I was reading through this thing. And throughout it all, I will say this right now, Sandman Overture is probably a good way to start it off because apparently it's a prequel to like the entire original Sandman series, but I will tell you this right now, one of the biggest things by itself is the art style alone. The art style in Sandman Overture is by far one of the most beautiful, one of the most complex pieces of comic book art that I have seen. Like it's just so spectacular and amazing with. And in all honesty, I feel like it was a good first step to get me into this whole new universe because Sandman himself is in a separate universe from DC altogether. Since Sandman, or Dream as he is known here, is essentially a cosmic being. The cosmic being who is in charge of dreams. Like he is the physical manifestation of dreams. And he is just one of a family of similar cosmic beings, one of whom being death, another being desire, one is delirium, and another is destruction, just to name a few. But anyway, so Sandman in Overture has to essentially make up for a mistake that he made, since there is now a blight upon the universe that is essentially causing everything to spiral into absolute chaos and could lead to the destruction of the very universe. So Sandman having to correct a mistake of his own because he was trying to be too merciful instead of finishing off what he was supposed to, which is like a blight upon the universe, like a mistake. But anyways, so we see his journey throughout Overture, and the art style was absolutely amazing in this regard because we see all of his different incarnations of himself, one of which is actually a cat, which I think represents the dreams of cats, which I thought that was pretty darn cool. But in all honesty, I kept reading because I was so confused throughout it all, but at the same time, I wanted to keep going just to see how the story ends because it's very rare when you see a character where the universe is on the line and it's just himself trying to fix everything. Like I saw so many different things. Like you see the physical manifestation of stars as like these avatars, right? And you even see other cosmic beings being shown. Like apparently, his father, Dream's father, is the essentially the ruler of time, and his mother essentially deals with shadows and darkness. And we actually see him interacting with both, but my God, as I kept reading, I was amazed by how amazing the art style was, but how absolutely insane the story was getting. And even though by the end this story left me absolutely questioning everything late into the night, like my brain was so hyper aware I could not fall asleep after reading Overture. And I honestly wanted to keep going, but responsibilities. But Overture was definitely a good first step into the Sandman universe because it shows Sandman having to essentially recreate the universe in order to save it. And I'm just sitting there like, this is amazing. I want more of this. So then after that, I read Dream Hunters. And Dream Hunters was a nice little step back, because while Overture was a very good story, the art style was very overwhelming at times just because of how absolutely stunning it was. Like, you kept getting drawn more into the details of it as well as the story. It was just it sucked you in. But Dream Hunters was a nice step back. It has like this nice, very 80s, hand-drawn look to it. And it has a very nice standalone story. See, Dream Hunters talks about the story of a monk who lives alone in a temple and is essentially, he is almost trying to be forced out of his temple by a fox and a badger. However, the fox, whom can apparently take on the physical form of a human woman, actually winds up falling in love with the monk. And we learn that there is this merchant who constantly lives in fear, but he has everything he wants. He has a wife and he has a mistress, both of whom actually get along, but he is still ruled by this fear. So he goes to these three witches in order to try to find a way to overcome his fear, and they state that if he manages to get this lonely monk killed, then his fear will be removed and he will become fearless. He will no longer live in fear. So we see this fox actually get into contact with Dream, whom in the story was in like a black fox form. So we see that Dream is not just the icon of human dreams, he is essentially like all dreams, from animals to everything else. But anyway, so we see Dream talking with this fox and stating that this evil lord will essentially be attacking the monk within his dreams. And the fox actually makes a deal with Dream that to protect the monk, she will actually take on the burden of those dreams. Like, she will protect the monk from those dreams, even at the cost of her own life. Which to me, that was extremely heartfelt. And by the end of it, I actually felt a bit bittersweet about how the story ends. Because in the end, the monk does get saved, but he finds out the fox is now trapped in a coma. Essentially, like, trapped in this, like, dream coma. Like, and we go to find out, the monk actually visits Dream in his palace. And it is revealed that the fox is actually trapped within this box, which there's the whole symbolism here of like a black box with a key. Essentially, the fox sacrificed herself so that the monk would live, but now she is stuck in a coma. However, the monk actually makes the deal to release the fox and take on what would have essentially killed him. He switches places with her, and now he was lost forever. And honestly, that was one of the saddest things ever. Like, you see this final moment where you think they're going to confess that they do have feelings for one another, which is just sad to think about, because in the end, she sacrificed herself for him, and now he has done the same for her so that she might live. And in the end, the monk does die, but at the same time, the fox does get revenge on this evil monk, on this evil lord, who essentially killed the man that she loved. I'll tell you right now, it was a very bitter story, but at the same time, it was also sweet, seeing the monk and the fox, which I know sounds weird, but trust me, it is a very interesting story. Now, as for the final one on this list, Overture. Oh man, where do I even begin with Endless Nights? Endless Nights, oh my god. So, Endless Nights was fascinating. I will say this right now. It was very, very good. But at the same time, it also gives you a hint of some of Death's other families. No, Dream, sorry. Well, actually, no. Death does play a part in this, because Death is actually the sister of Dream. Anyways. But what I do like about Endless Nights is that we get to see more of Dream's family. We see Death, we see Desire, we see Delirium, we see Destiny. Essentially, and even destruction too. Like, we see all of them written out in endless nights. And what I liked about the story is that each one has a different art style depending on the character. Like, for instance, Death. Her style was very like 80s style, very nice, very well done. Same with Dream, if I remember correctly. However, I will say this right now. Delirium. Oh my god. Delirium and Despair were just some of the most nightmare-inducing arts that I have ever seen. I will not show it because I don't want to spoil the surprise of your all's first experience seeing it, but I will tell you this right now. The art styles for Delirium and Despair are just some of the most nightmarish things you will ever see. And I swear, if you fall asleep reading this, you might have nightmares for days because of what you witness here. And honestly, it actually gave me a friggin' headache, though, and it left me wondering, what the hell did I just read? All in all, though, I do believe that these 3 graphic novels were a good introductory piece for myself to at least get into Sandman, to really see more of Sandman. And in fact, there are many other pieces of Sandman alone. Like, Sandman is its own universe. And I'm honestly excited to see more of where this goes, because just these isolated stories, I feel, were a good first impression. There are a good few isolated stories here that really does not affect it. And in fact, there is the main series, which I will be discussing in a future video, after I read it, of course, because it has been getting re-released in these new paperbacks as a response to the new Netflix series that has come out for Sandman. But honestly, if you guys want a good first taste of Sandman, Overture, Dream Hunters, and maybe Endless Nights, if you're daring enough. Honestly, I feel like those are the best first tastes of Sandman. And honestly, there's not really much more I can say here. It's just each one has a very unique art style, unique story. Honestly, I will say give Sandman a try. And if you are a fan, please let me know in the comment section down below. And if you have any other DC Comics rambles you want me to do, or even any other Vertigo titles you would like for me to cover, please let me know also in the comment section down below. And again, thank you all for listening to this crazy man's rambles. And just be prepared for the next video. Anyways, this is Rambling Collector signing off, and thank you all again for listening. Have an awesome day.